Well, if there's one movie that I feel stupid that I did not include on my list for most anticipated movies of 2018, that would be Ready Player One. Okay, first of all, yes, it's a video game related movie. It's not a movie based on a video game franchise, and we all know the history of movies based on video games, even though I heard Tomb Raider is supposedly good, which I have not seen yet, the reboot that is. But this one is a completely different story. This one is about video games. It's about a video game universe, and okay, minor to moderate spoilers. Nothing too major, but wow. I cannot believe I didn't include this one, because, yeah, first of all, it's directed by Steven Spielberg, who we know has had, well, over the past couple of years, kind of a spotty history with his films. I mean, he hasn't been like he used to be in the 80s and 90s, you know, the trademark director that's been influential to most people, but this one, I think, changes the pace. Another thing, I did not read the book, because yes, this is based off of a novel, which most people probably read, so I went in with a pretty fresh mind. And another thing, I did not see this in IMAX or 3D, I saw this in regular 2D. I wasn't able to make the IMAX showing. You can prove to me all you want whether it was worth it or not, but now, first of all, let's get to the plot. Like Tron or anything else that's about video games, this is basically kind of like Hunger Games and, you know, any of those movies that takes place in the dystopian future, where in this case it's not about the president being corrupt. It sort of is, but basically the whole world is like run down and everybody escapes into the world of virtual reality, which is called the Oasis. I'm sorry, yeah, I pronounced that wrong. But basically our main character is played by the same actor, and yes, he plays young Scott Cyclops in X-Men Apocalypse, and yes, he's even going to be back in Dark Phoenix, which I have to bounce very quickly and briefly, not to get too off topic, is going to get postponed until next year, so I can't review that one. It originally was set to be released this year, but nope, gotta wait till next year on that one, so maybe this is a good fill-in for that one, I guess you can say. But anyway, he's our main character. He's sucked into the video game world like everybody else is, and it's like the possibilities are endless. And another thing you should probably note that, yes, the nostalgia in this movie, it's like the pop culture references to other films, video games, TV shows. I mean, it's through the roof. I mean, this amount of trademarks for one movie, it's just like, I can't imagine how much it must have costed Spielberg and the studio just to put, even for brief mentionings and showings of these characters, films, anything, video game characters. It's just, wow. I mean, it's like overload right here. I mean, you think Who Framed Roger Rabbit had a lot of trademarks mixed in? You think Wreck-It Ralph had a lot of trademarks mixed in? Well, this one just puts it to shame by like 10 miles right there. I mean, it's just like everywhere you look. Which, some people may complain it goes a little overboard, but I really didn't mind it. Because I could tell Spielberg was trying to make it feel like you're in the 80s again, and it really does for the most part. It has that nostalgic touch to it. Basically, the plot is, like as I said, they escape into a virtual world, and yeah, they're everywhere, these cultural references to films. Whether it's shown or just talked about. And, okay, I'm not just going to say it. Here's the list right here to be very quick. So anyway, now that that's out of the way, basically, our creator of the Oasis is played by, yes, the same guy who plays the BFG and the Russian spy from Bridge of Spies, who of course got an Oscar for that performance. I guess you could say Spielberg is just like buddy-buddy with this guy, and it works. You know, he's basically a different type of person. He's like, you know, he's a nerdy video game creator, and, you know, typical, stereotypical, a little bit, you could say, you know, afraid of girls type of guy. And basically, as he dies, or right before he dies, I should say, he basically leaves out a contest similar to like a Willy Wonka type of thing, in a way, but basically he creates this contest. Whoever gets these 3 keys in the Oasis gets basically the whole Oasis thing handed down to them, and basically they're left in charge. But as you know, of course, this corporate asshole tries to like basically rig up the game. So in a way, it's sort of like Hunger Games a little bit. In a way, he's basically like the movie's villain, who you basically just like want to root against the whole time. Yes, he's played by the same actor. You've seen him before in The Dark Knight Rises. and in Star Wars Rogue One, so he's not much different in this film. And he hires up all these, all these players and everything to basically win and make it so nobody else wins. So that's as far as I'll go with major spoilers. Overall, the film is pretty steadily paced. I think a little slow at the beginning, but it kind of takes its time getting up. But when it gets going, after like a half hour, 40 minutes, it gets going, and you really get attached to it for the most part. The characters are very well liked. It does pull a few surprises here and there, but for the most part, I found it a little bit predictable. As I said, I did not read the book, so I don't know. I can't really compare it. So you could do that whole. I know I heard a lot of people saying they want to compare it to the, to the book, but I really can't because I didn't read it. But I said the characters were pretty well liked, and towards the end especially, I got really attached to it. But as I said, it has its laughs and it has its heartfelt moments as well, and it definitely pulls a few punches here and there. But and a lot of the effects that you expect are going to be CG. I mean, it's in a virtual world. What more do you expect? But for the most part, the characters I think are pretty well liked, and I do like a few surprises that it pulls, but as I said, this is as far as I'll go with spoilers. I'm not going to give too much away, but for the most part, I enjoyed it. I'd say Spielberg has kind of taken a risk with this one, which sort of paid off, even after all the risks that he's taken with sequels and other films that just didn't really pay off as well, and with most of the biography and true story films, which feel that it's kind of lacking his trademark style. I'd say this one returns himself to his retro style of directing. So if you didn't like it, I respect that, but I enjoyed it. It is a pretty long film. It's over 2 hours, but for a video game fanatic who likes all this retro junk, I'd say it was definitely a love letter to stuff that I am really into. So, yep. In other words, I would definitely go check it out. Whether it's in 3D or 2D or IMAX, it's definitely worth it. So, my final verdict is rocking Wii Remote Wii Motion Plus up and a plain Wii Remote up. So, just my opinion, people. I enjoyed it. So, till next time, keep watching.